Well, good morning. Here we are, broadcasting live from the Joan Gamper Ciutat Esportiva, the FC Barcelona training ground. It's 25 minutes past 11 here on Saturday morning. And what we're going to be bringing you is the first 15 minutes of today's FC Barcelona training session. Of course, the day before tomorrow's game against Real Sociedad, that game kicking off at 8:45 Central European time. It's not a warm morning here in Barcelona. It's about 12 degrees centigrade. It's chilly. It's not raining, but the clouds are looming in the sky, so there's a good chance it could rain later on. As you can see, the sprinklers are on. Obviously, you wouldn't need the sprinklers if it was raining. Andres Iniesta there in our picture. He trained yesterday normally, and again he's training today. Whether he's available for selection tomorrow will presumably depend on how he progresses today in the training session, and Luis Enrique will give us his verdict afterwards. He's giving a press conference starting in theory at 12:30 Central European time. We've got his press conference here live at fcbarcelona.com. Probably going to be starting a little bit later than that because the training session has started later as well. I'd imagine probably around about 1 o'clock you'll be able to listen to Luis Enrique's words. Although we don't know whether he's going to tell us whether Iniesta is playing in the squad or not tomorrow. That, of course, will depend. He may prefer to keep his cards close to his chest and not reveal it until Sunday morning. So we're on the Tito Villanova field. That's the main natural grass surface here at the club. It's the one that the players have been using this week. Last week, of course, when the players were away on international duty, they mixed forces with the Barça B squad for a number of the training sessions, and that was on pitch number 2. But this week we're back on the main ground, pitch number 1. Arda Turan was missing for yesterday's training session with a fever. Still looking to see if we can catch a glimpse of whether he's better and training today. Aleix Vidal was also missing yesterday. He was given special dispensation from the club to be absent. We'll have to check out and see if he's back again. Samuel Umtiti, he's injured at the moment, and one assumes he's not going to be training with the team today. Sprinklers on in full force around the goal area. I'm not sure if there's some kind of a water polo session being planned for the goalkeepers today. We saw Ter Stegen in the image just a few seconds ago. There's Leo Messi appearing on our screens there. Luis Suarez next to him. Leo Messi gave an interesting interview with the media yesterday, which he discussed, amongst other things, the Champions League qualification for the last 16. Barca, of course, beat Celtic 2-0 on Wednesday. That confirms their place at the top of the group after Man City drew with Borussia Mönchengladbach. Messi talking about that. You can watch the interview on fcbarcelona.com. So, of course, tomorrow's game is at Anoeta, which is not a place where Leo Messi has his best of records, to be fair. In his last 7 trips to Anoeta, he's only scored twice, which is an astoundingly low figure from the kind of things that we come to expect of Leo Messi. Just 2 goals in 7 games. But of course, Anoeta's not a ground where Barca have a good record at all in recent years. In fact, the record's quite staggeringly poor considering how well Barca have done elsewhere around the Liga. The last 4 trips to San Sebastian in the league have seen Barca defeated. 4 defeats in a row. In fact, that's Barca's worst run of away losses at a particular club in the league since a run of 6 defeats at Deportivo. That was way back in 2002. And in fact, Barca haven't won at Anoeta for 6 games. Last time they won was way back in 2007. If you think I've got the maths wrong there, that's not right, because of course Real Sociedad dropped down to the 2nd division for a few seasons. The last time Barca won at Anoeta was in 2007, a 2-0 win. So that was 10 years ago, so there's no doubt that Anoeta's not a place that favours FC Barcelona. Just exactly why that is, I don't know. Because obviously it's a club that's had a remarkable number of different managers over the years. I'm sure Luis Enrique will be addressed on that matter in his press conference that I remind you you'll be able to listen to at around about 1 o'clock here on fcbarcelona.com and on our other social media accounts. Jasper Cillessen there warming up, Dutch goalkeeper. Got a bit of a late arrival here. I think that's Neymar. In fact, in contrast to Leo Messi, Neymar's actually got quite a good track record against Real Sociedad. In the last 5 games against the Basques, he scored 4 goals, so that's a pretty good return. Suarez giving Neymar a little slap on the back of the head there. Not too sure why. Not wanting to bring the harbour of bad news, but another slightly negative stat regarding tomorrow's game is that Real Sociedad is one of the clubs against which Luis Enrique has the poorest record since taking charge of the club. And what's getting on 4.5 seasons ago. He's lost 3 times to Real Sociedad during his tenure. Only 2 other clubs have beaten Barca 3 times. I won't tell you who, I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. Who are the other 2 sides that have beaten Barca 3 times under Luis Enrique? In the meantime, the players gathering for the rondo, the ubiquitous opening exercise, and unfortunately the only exercise we generally get the chance to show you, because when they move on to the more nitty-gritty elements, we're forced to turn off the signal, because obviously Luis Enrique wants to keep his things secret. He doesn't want the prying eyes of Eusebio Sacristan to see what he's been working on ahead of the game, although I'm sure Eusebio is actually a man who's probably got a very good idea of that. Eusebio, of course, former member of FC Barcelona back in the days of the Dream Team, manager of the Barca B squad, a very close friend of Luis Enrique's, one of his greatest admirers as well, so I'm pretty sure Eusebio's got a very good idea of the kind of things that happen in Barca training sessions. But all the same, we're keeping to protocol. Just the first 15 minutes are going to be shown live view this Saturday morning. I haven't spotted Arda Turan yet. I don't know if you have. Which would imply that he's still ill, which would also put a question mark over his availability for tomorrow's game. I was saying earlier on, Luis Enrique has lost to 3 teams 3 times since taking over. One of those is Real Sociedad. The other 2 are Real Madrid and Celta Vigo. Sprinklers in full force here, so it's going to be a nice wet training session for the players anyway, even though the heavens haven't quite opened yet, although looking up at the clouds, I think it's very likely there is going to be some rain later on today. Looking ahead, Barca, of course, have got a very intense schedule coming up in December, which, to be fair, the load has been lightened somewhat because of qualification from the Champions League, which means the Borussia Mönchengladbach game is no longer really of any major relevance because Barca have already finished top of the group, so that really has taken a lot of the intensity out of things. Coming up on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, it's Hercules, the side from Alicante, in the first round, the round of 32 of the Copa del Rey. And of course, one important thing there for Barca would be to try to get a good result against the lower league side to set things up for a more comfortable second leg at home. But it's not going to be easy. That's actually a pretty tricky draw they've got there against Hercules. Certainly when Hercules were in the first division not so long ago, they sprung a surprise by beating FC Barcelona. And coming after that, there's the no small affair of the Clásico. That's next Saturday at the somewhat unusual kick-off time of 4:15 Central European time. Don't think I need to start telling you what the Clásico is all about. I'm pretty sure you're very aware of that. And after that comes the game against Borussia Mönchengladbach, which, as I said, is probably not quite such an urgent issue as it may have been. Barca already qualified. That game's really just a formality of seeing out the fixtures. After that, there are still 3 more games before Christmas, so it's going to be a pretty busy December. The first of those, after Borussia Mönchengladbach, is against Osasuna on Saturday the 10th. Oh, what happened there? I was just checking my fixture list. I think someone's just taken out one of the coaches. Whoa. Well, that's a bit of a turn up. I was just checking my fixture list at the time and I missed what happened. But one of the players out of the corner of my eye, I think it might have been Neymar, tumbled into one of the coaches. He seems to be okay. He's back on his feet. We'll get a round of applause as we do, as he's back up. And that's the nemesis of the commentators. I just happened to be looking down at my notes just as it happened, so I missed the main event of today's training session. There's mild concern, but also some smiles on the faces of what has happened. And looks like everybody's back on their feet and ready to resume with the rondo. And I'm not sure what happened there. That was a ball sent flying out of the circle there. Came back down with snow on it. So even the FC Barcelona players can sometimes have a howler. Certainly a jovial atmosphere on the faces of the players. Leo Messi's having a bit of a laugh there. Well, what I was saying before that curious incident as one of the coaches got flattened was that after the Clasico and the Bayern Munich game, Barca then still have 3 games before Christmas. One's against Osasuna, then it's the first derby of the year against Espanyol. And last up, it's going to be the game against Hercules, the second leg at the Camp Nou. And that, of course, is going to be the Supporters' Day, which is the day when tickets are offered to children, etc. Always for the first round of the Copa del Rey, always a wonderful pre-Christmas atmosphere, where an effort is made to allow people that perhaps normally wouldn't be able to get tickets to be given access to the stadium to watch the game against Hercules. Always a wonderful occasion, that, because the Peñas, the Barca Supporters Club, do an awful lot of good work ensuring that those tickets land in the hands of people that so deserve it and get to see a game at the Camp Nou when they probably wouldn't be able to get to see a game under other circumstances. I hasten to remind you then, before we lose the signal of today's training session, that Luis Enrique will be giving a press conference in an hour or so from now, at around about 12:30 Central European time. In theory, I would think probably closer to 1 o'clock, maybe sometime after the hour. And we'll be here to give you a simultaneous English translation of everything that's said in that. And I'm sure one of the big issues on his list of questions he's going to answer is going to be Andres Iniesta, and whether we may be getting to see him playing some kind of a part in tomorrow's game at Anoeta against a Real Sociedad that's got a staggeringly good recent record against Barca, which I think is probably something else that's going to be asked to the Barca coach. Okay, we have to do this. This is a punishment for some of the players that have not achieved what they had to achieve, which I believe it's if they manage to string together 20 passes, or I'm not sure if it's 20 or 21 passes, then the players in the middle get to go through the tunnel and get slapped in that rather juvenile but somewhat fun way. Real Sociedad are on a massive run at the moment. I'm really not selling Barca's chances tomorrow, although I'm still convinced that Barca can and probably will win the game. But Real Sociedad have just won their last 4 league games on the trot. Do you know that? They've gone flying up the league table. They're now 5th, in fact, on 22 points. Just 4 points behind Barca. Barca, of course, second, 4 points in turn behind Real Madrid. So Real Sociedad, in fact, they're tied with Villarreal on 22 points. At the moment, they're just goal difference keeping them outside of what would be a Champions League qualifying berth next season. Staggering good season for Real Sociedad. As you can see, the camera is pulling out. When the camera pulls out, that can only mean one thing. It means we're about to lose the signal. So thank you very much for listening. Don't forget, Luis Enrique will be speaking in about an hour's time from now. Goodbye.